Chapter 84, 3 years later, 6th level foundation establishment. Moments later, when Genjian opened his eyes, his muscles had swelled considerably. His heart thumped powerfully like a massive water pump, circulating blood throughout his body. His arms had expanded beyond their previous size, the muscles rising like rocks, leaving no doubt about the strength surging within, enough to punch through iron. When Genjian, filled with joy, exclaimed excitedly, "3rd level. I've become a 3rd level superhuman. Thank you, immortal." Chu Xuan glanced at Chu. "Your turn." "Yes." Without further hesitation, Chu immediately consumed the 3rd level psionic core he held. He was luckier. Unlike when Genjian, he didn't experience intense zombification, though his entire body was in excruciating pain as if countless demons were tearing him apart. Continuing this way would not fully absorb the psionic core's energy and only waste it. With a casual flick, Chu Xuan also dispersed the psionic blockage for him, turning it into a gentle stream that flowed to its rightful place. Moments later, Chu stood up again, unable to hide his excitement. "I am a 2nd level superhuman now. Thank you for your gift, immortal." Chu Xuan calmly said, "Show me your talents." "Yes." When Genjian and Chu did not hesitate, they immediately activated their respective talents. Their talents were a strong arm and a fat drain. With the rise in their psionic levels, their talents had also grown stronger. After observing, Chu Xuan appeared thoughtful. His previous speculation was correct. Psionic was inferior to spiritual qi in many respects, and even more so compared to the refined essence of spiritual qi. However, in terms of vitality, psionic could match spiritual qi. Now, when Genjian, merely a 3rd level superhuman, possessed tremendous strength, capable of killing a 1st level qi refining cultivator in close combat. His vitality was comparable to a 3rd level qi refining cultivator. Chuan's talent was more versatile. He could extract fat and shape it into various forms for offense and defense, with special applications. "Your current strength is barely adequate," Chu Xuan said nonchalantly. "Go back. You know what you should and shouldn't do." "Yes." The two nodded repeatedly and turned to leave, their hearts still surging with excitement. Upon returning to the Black Blade's headquarters, their smiles were so broad that the few surviving guards at the gate were utterly baffled. Had Boss Wen and Boss Teng taken the wrong medicine? Why were they so joyously happy? At this moment, Wen Yong had already returned by car. Upon seeing Wen Genjian and Chuan arrive, he and Song Day immediately approached them, eager for news. Wen Yong, anxious, said, "Brother, the ship gang also suffered an attack by the Mushroommen with heavy casualties. They can't help us. Did you manage to enlist the Immortals' help? How did it go?" Wen Genjian and Chuan could barely keep their smiles from reaching their ears. "Ha ha ha. You would never guess what happened." They proceeded to share every detail of their experience. Wen Yong and Song Day were utterly astounded. "No way. The Mushroommen retreated. Are we now under the Immortals' command? And you're a 3rd level superhuman now?" Wen Yong and Song Day's eyes bulged in disbelief, struggling to accept what they were hearing. "That's right, we are under the Immortals' command now," Wen Genjian stated sullenly. "But the Immortal has high expectations for us, we cannot slack off. The crisis with the Mushroommen has been resolved. There are only a few stray ones left wandering outside. Tell the brothers there's no need to worry anymore," Chuan added with a smile. Wen Yong and Song Day were so overjoyed they nearly burst into tears, wishing they could embrace and cry together. "Great. The crisis being resolved is better than anything. Starting today, we at Black Blade need to adjust our strategy," Wen Genjian declared earnestly. "Our primary task is to gather intelligence for the Immortal on all major powers, supernatural beings, any information at all. To accomplish this primary task, we need to recruit more superhumans to join and strengthen Black Blade's force." "Yes, we'll get on it right now," Wen Yong and the others nodded vigorously. Chu Xuan was not particularly concerned with Black Blade's actions. His own formidable strength, the 2 3rd level psionic cores, and a 100% advancement success rate were enough to ensure the absolute loyalty of Wen Genjian and other superhumans. However, if the members of Black Blade proved inadequate for the tasks he assigned or their conduct did not meet his standards, it mattered little. He would simply replace them. After all, this planet was not lacking in people. There were plenty who would aspire to act as his agents and gather intelligence for him. Chu Xuan rode the flying sword to the soul-capturing, evil-nurturing array located in Two Dragon City. He sat cross-legged within the array, circulating the blood evil demon refining scripture, drawing in the Densian evil chi. Day by day, his cultivation level rose. A year later, he advanced to the 5th level of Foundation Establishment. 2 more years passed and he entered the 6th level of Foundation Establishment. During this time, Black Blade delivered copious amounts of intelligence, covering both large and small powers, as well as the whereabouts of supernatural beings. Chu Xuan did not need to take action himself, dispatching the trio of corpses, Long, Hu, and Bao, sufficed. He simply needed to sit and cultivate within the array. A continuous stream of psionic cores was brought to him. The psionic cores from supernatural animals were mostly non-attributive, with a small fraction being fish and thus possessing water attributes. No other attributes were present. However, the psionic cores from supernatural plants were mostly of the wood attribute, which was good news for Chu Xuan. Over the past year, he had acquired nearly 20 wood-attributed psionic cores. Placed within the 100 wood spirit nurturing array, these could create at least 20 wood-attributed spirit objects. Furthermore, Chu Xuan realized that after breaking through 2 minor realms in one go, facing the 7th level of Foundation Establishment presented a significant hurdle. The difference between the 6th and 7th levels, though seeming minor, marked a vast gap between the mid and late stages of Foundation Establishment. Many cultivators with lesser spiritual roots were stuck here, exhausting their lifespans without further progress. With my spiritual roots and some diligent effort, I should be able to break through to the 7th level of Foundation Establishment, but it will undoubtedly take much longer. 3 years, 4 years, or even 5 years are all possible. But that would be too long. Chu Xuan shook his head. According to the flow of time in the Mystic Azure Realm and Blue Star, about 3 months had passed in the Mystic Azure Realm. The war between the Heavenly Seal sect and the Wood Province sects should have moved past the meat grinder phase and be nearing its end. He needed to quickly reach the late stage of the Foundation Establishment to take part in the spoils. I must refine the evil wood spiritual body as soon as possible. Chu Xuan exhaled and ended his cultivation, steering the flying sword to the outside of the 100 wood spirit nurturing array. He was eager to see if the wood-attributed spirit objects had matured. Chapter 85, Evil Wood Spiritual Body in Minor Completion. Chu Xuan soon arrived outside the 100 wood spirit nurturing array. 4 corpse puppets were guarding the periphery of the formation, vigilantly monitoring everything around. These 4 corpses, each at about the 4th level of corpse soldiers, possessed different spells: rapid eating technique, water storage technique, purification technique, and self-destruction technique. Initially crafted by Chu Xuan merely as cannon fodder, he later decided to train them for simple labor rather than waste their potential. Thus, Chu Xuan named them based on the spells they possessed: rapid eating corpse, water storage corpse, purifying corpse, and explosive corpse. The task was to prevent any zombies or supernatural beings from approaching. Anyone daring to intrude would be swiftly executed. This was also the case for humans reckless enough to venture too close. After all, Chu Xuan wasn't particularly concerned about losing a bit of his accumulated virtue for killing a couple of foolhardy survivors. Moreover, these 4 corpse puppets were also responsible for tossing mushroom captured by Long, Hu, and Bao into the array from various locations. Upon Chu Xuan's arrival, they emitted respectful roars, welcoming their master. Chu Xuan nodded slightly and looked towards the center of the formation. There, fresh corpses of mushroom had accumulated like a small hill, and many older mushroom corpses lay on the ground. However, the essence of these corpses had already been absorbed by the array, feeding into the wood attribute embryos. Chu Xuan's gaze then fell on the center. He immediately saw several irregular green crystals shimmering with bright green light, their brilliance far surpassing that of any psionic core. Clearly, they had matured. A look of pleasure crossed Chu Xuan's face. He reached out and with a gesture of telekinesis, controlled the green crystals in his hand. Among these crystals, 3 were especially large and bright. They had been formed using the psionic cores of Stinkhorn, in Cap, and Green Cap. Chu Xuan estimated that these 3 crystals could be considered mid-grade spirit objects at the Foundation establishment stage. The rest were at least of low-grade quality at the same stage. In other words, he had acquired a total of 18 wood-attribute spirit objects this time. Moreover, more wood-attribute spirit objects were nearing maturity. From their sheen, Chu Xuan predicted that within 5 days, he could harvest over 20 more wood-attribute spirit objects. This would not only suffice to fully refine the evil wood spiritual body but also leave surplus spirit objects for future use. Whether continuing to consume them to fully develop or even perfect the evil wood spiritual body or selling them in the cultivator's market, all options were excellent. This way, I've essentially become a broker between 2 worlds, Chu Xuan mused with a light chuckle. Utilizing Mushroomman on Blue Star to produce wood-attribute spirit objects, then selling them at a high price on Mystic Azure Realm. An incredibly profitable venture indeed. By doing so, he acquired a vast amount of spirit stones, while cultivators obtained valuable wood-attribute spirit objects, a win-win situation. Several days later, as Chu Xuan had predicted, another batch of wood-attribute spirit objects matured. After counting them, including the previous ones, he had 3 mid-grade and 41 low-grade spirit objects at the Foundation establishment stage. That's enough, Chu Xuan affirmed. He immediately returned to the center of the soul-capturing evil nurturing array and sat down to commence his cultivation, consuming one of the spirit objects. A mid-grade Foundation establishment stage spirit object dissolved quickly under the influence of his spiritual chi, transforming into a powerful surge of wood-attribute spiritual chi. This chi, guided by his spiritual cultivation, gradually spread throughout his limbs and body, eventually forming a faint network of green veins across his entire being. If a golden core expert could inspect Chu Xuan internally at this moment, they would discover that from his organs to his skin, subtle green vascular traces ran throughout his body, akin to a new set of organs. With these, Chu Xuan's affinity for the natural wood spiritual chi of the world significantly increased. Currently, having consumed only one wood-attribute spirit object, these green vascular traces remained faint and fine, hardly visible unless looked at closely. After all 33 wood-attribute spirit objects were refined, these green traces would become fully interconnected, marking the minor completion of the evil wood spiritual body. Chu Xuan settled down to continue his cultivation, processing one wood-attribute spirit object every 3 days. After 99 days, the green vascular network sprawled across his body like a spider web. At that moment, it felt as though a tree had grown within him, its branches and leaves reaching out, sensing everything in the world. It is done. Chu Xuan suddenly opened his eyes, a look of joy spreading across his face. The evil wood spiritual body had reached minor completion. From now on, he was a cultivator with a postnatal spiritual body, which would greatly accelerate his cultivation speed compared to those with average spiritual roots. His progress to the 7th level of Foundation establishment would also quicken substantially. Chu Xuan calmed his heart and continued his cultivation, completely disengaged from all external affairs, be they supernatural beings, ship gan, or the Linjiang military. None of these mattered to him now. His only focus was on reaching the 7th level of Foundation establishment. Time passed unknowingly, and another spring and autumn came and went. In the eastern provinces of Linjiang, Hanhai, and Jingshan, collectively known as the Eastern 3 provinces, a rumor began to circulate. It was said that in a certain city within Linjiang province, an immortal resided. This immortal could effortlessly neutralize a horde of zombies capable of annihilating an entire city. The dual-headed pythons that the Linjiang army struggled to cope with were slain by him on the spot. The mushroommen that swept through the eastern 3 provinces were easily eradicated by him. As time progressed, the tales of the immortal became more divine. Some said he could slay level 5 zombies with a single stroke of his sword. Others claimed he could appear thousands of kilometers away in the blink of an eye. There were also stories of him flying through the skies on his sword, rescuing all those suffering and in distress. If not for the immortal's intervention, the eastern 3 provinces would have long become a realm dominated by supernatural beings, with no space for human survivors to exist. Many survivors felt profound gratitude towards this unseen immortal. Compared to the northern part of the Han country, where the zombie empress reigned, or the south plagued by venomous creatures, or the west overrun with man-eating vines, the eastern 3 provinces seemed almost like a paradise. Here, at least, there were no overwhelmingly powerful supernatural beings, at least, there was a place for the survivors. Of course, there were those who harbored discontent or disdain towards the immortal. They thought that, at best, the immortal was merely a powerful superhuman. The term immortal was just a self-aggrandizing label. To put it more harshly, they considered him a pretender. Furthermore, if the immortal was truly as powerful as the rumors suggested, why hadn't he appeared earlier to support the collapsing order? After so many years of the virus outbreak, which had caused the death and suffering of so many humans, why had he not come forward sooner to save the world? Such words, when heard by those who had witnessed Chu Xuan in action, were met with scorn. Idiots! They had not seen the power of the immortal and thus could speak such words. Had they seen even a glimpse of his capabilities, they would be clinging to the immortal's leg, calling him father. Chapter 86, Late Foundation Establishment. Return to Wood Province. The world outside was full of chaos and distractions, but Chu Xuan, now imbued with the evil wood spiritual body, was calmly focusing on his own plan, breaking through to the 7th level of Foundation Establishment. On this day, after a year of meditative sitting, a sudden surge of energy exploded within Chu Xuan. The bottleneck that had constrained him for 3 years finally showed signs of loosening. Chu Xuan let out a low growl, accelerating the circulation of the blood evil demon refining scripture. Spiritual chi burst forth from his chi si like a towering tidal wave, repeatedly slamming against the barrier in front of him. Boon. 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 The first attempt did not break through. Neither did the second. Nor the third, fourth, or fifth. It was only on the 6th attempt that the overwhelming spiritual chi finally shattered the barrier. In an instant, Chu Xuan felt a profound sense of clarity. When he regained his senses, his chi-si had expanded significantly, at least doubling in size compared to the 6th level of Foundation Establishment. This was the difference between the mid and late stages of the Foundation Establishment. Finally, I have entered the late stage of Foundation Establishment. Chu Xuan stood up, feeling immensely relieved and exhilarated. With the strength of the late stage of Foundation Establishment, I should be able to claim my share of the chaotic and dangerous Wood Province. Immediately, Chu Xuan activated the Blood Mirror and returned to Mystic Azure Realm. In Wood Province, outside the Iron Wire Mountains, within a seemingly ordinary cave, Chu Xuan appeared abruptly. Previously, the Extranean Cave had been compelled to join the war under orders from the Heavenly Seal Sect. Chu Xuan had been dispatched to the Iron Wire Mountains to rescue 2 cultivators from the Heavenly Seal Sect who were trapped there. He had been ambushed by a GU master from the Iron Wire Mountains. After assessing the significant disparity in strength between himself and his enemy, he had chosen to retreat to this cave. Before heading to Blue Star, he had carefully laid numerous formations within the cave to ensure that no one could discover anything about this place. Now, upon his return, Chu Xuan immediately checked these formations. Confirming that there were no signs of intrusion, he finally felt at ease. His biggest concern had been encountering enemies waiting for him immediately upon his arrival through the Blood Mirror, a truly dire scenario. I spent a total of 4 years cultivating on Blue Star, which amounts to 48 months. Converted to the time here, that's about 5 months, Chu Xuan mused. A lot can change in 5 months. I can't act rashly, I need to gather intelligence first. Disguised with a rugged bearded face, Chu Xuan soared towards the battlefield he remembered. It wasn't long before he encountered a skirmish. 3 chi refining stage cultivators were locked in fierce combat. 2 were from the Heavenly Seal Sect, while 1 was a cultivator from the Blood Bee Cave, a sect under the 1000 Insect Sect and roughly equal in power to the Iron Wire Mountains. Chu Xuan recalled that Li Xuanming had once been tasked with assisting the Blood Bee Cave. The Blood Bee Cave cultivator clearly had the upper hand, aggressively commanding a swarm of blood bees, overwhelming the 2 Heavenly Seal Sect cultivators who were already heavily wounded and depleted of spiritual chi. Senior brother, we should flee, the shorter and thinner of the 2 Heavenly Seal Sect cultivators despaired. Junior brother, you run first, the taller and thinner cultivator replied, eyes rolling as he plotted his escape. Die, demonic cultivators of the Heavenly Seal Sect, the Blood Bee Cave cultivator laughed cruelly, directing the swarm of blood bees towards the taller cultivator. In a moment of ruthless decision, the taller cultivator grabbed his shorter companion and threw him behind himself as a shield. The bees swarmed over the smaller cultivator, stinging his face and chest mercilessly. Their sharp mandibles quickly tore away flesh, revealing ghastly white bones underneath. Senior brother. You... The junior brother screamed in agony, his eyes blazing with rage and betrayal, wishing to incinerate the so-called senior brother into ashes. The senior cultivator sneered without looking back, running faster than a rabbit. But he had only made it a few steps when he heard the horrific screams of the blood-be cave cultivator behind him. Stopping dead in his tracks, he turned to see the blood-be cave cultivator being violently grasped by a pitch-black ghostly claw. The claw squeezed fiercely, and with a sickening crunch, the cultivator was segmented into several pieces, his blood and flesh scattering everywhere. Such effortless killing was not within the capabilities of a mere chi refining stage cultivator. This had to be the work of a Foundation establishment expert. He saw a figure in black robes holding the head of the blood-be cave cultivator, apparently casting a spell. The black-robed cultivator waved him over with his other hand. Swallowing hard, the tall cultivator hesitantly made his way back, hoping desperately that this mysterious figure hadn't witnessed his earlier betrayal. Fortuitously, when he arrived, he found his junior brother dead, his features twisted in a gruesome mask of pain, leaving no one alive to accuse him of abandoning his fellow sect member. "Many thanks for your life-saving grace, Senior. I am but a humble disciple of the Heavenly Seal sect at the Chi refining stage." The tall cultivator wept bitterly, bowing respectfully. However, before he could finish his words, a sinister spectral claw suddenly clenched around him. With a snap, it twisted his head off. Chu Xuan watched the cultivator, whose eyes bulged grotesquely, and said indifferently, "I have no interest in knowing your name. Searching your soul will suffice." A disciple from the Blood-be Cavern and another from the Heavenly Seal sect. Their memories corroborated each other. This was perfect for Chu Xuan to piece together the events of the past few months. After briefly examining the memories, Chu Xuan shook his head. The war is still so tense. The Thousand Insect Sect, the Blood Fury Sect, and the Bone Refining Manor are the three largest native sects of Wu Province. Currently, only the Blood Fury Sect and Bone Refining Manor have fallen to the Heavenly Seal Sect. The Thousand Insect Sect remains unconquered. Moreover, Chu Xuan discovered through their memories that nearly 40 Foundation establishment cultivators had perished in the past 5 months. Despite being outnumbered, the Thousand Insect Sect had exploited the geographical advantage of Wu Province, dragging the Heavenly Seal Sect's cultivators to their deaths in every marsh, rainforest, and valley. The Golden Core Masters of both sides had clashed multiple times. Yet the Heavenly Seal Sect had gained no advantage, even suffering a severely injured Golden Core cultivator. Chu Xuan sensed something amiss. Despite the resilience of the Thousand Insect Sect, the number of their Golden Core cultivators was few, hardly enough to withstand the combined assault of several of the Heavenly Seal Sect's Golden Core elites. Perhaps the other 4 sects of Yu country were also stirring the pot in the shadows. They wished to see this war drag on. Preferably, to drain the Heavenly Seal Sect of its last drop of blood. The day when the Righteous 5 sects became the Righteous 4 would be great news for them. 5 days ago, Chen Jiafeng seized a top-grade magic tool from the Thousand Insect Sect, and while fleeing, he was ambushed by 2 GU masters from the Iron Wire Mountain, trapped on Iron Wire Mountain. At this revelation, Chu Xuan's eyes lit up. A top-grade magic tool. Such rarities were few and far between. At present, the only top-grade magic tool he possessed was the Merit Bell, acquired through slaying and looting from Hui Kong. "Junior brother Chen, I'm here to save you. Asking for a top-grade magic tool in return isn't too much, is it? And the GU master who once ambushed me, your life shall be taken." With a cold laugh, Chu Xuan directed his flying sword toward Iron Wire Mountain. Having refined countless yin evil chi and consumed numerous spiritual items for so many years, wasn't it all for today? Chapter 87, Those who trespass Iron Wire Mountain shall perish. 300 li north of Iron Wire Mountain, 3 figures approached, each riding a flying magic tool. Leading them was Li Zhuanmin, the great disciple of the Extremian Cave, dressed in flowing white robes and strikingly handsome. Following him were Li Zhenxuan, the second disciple of the Extremian Cave, and Zhu Yu, a cultivator from the Heavenly Seal Sect. Li Zhenxuan's flying magic tool carried a securely bound cultivator at the Foundation establishment stage, who appeared utterly terrified and devoid of any will to resist, his face etched with despair. As they moved forward, Li Zhuanmin queried, "Zhu Yu, tell us in detail, what capabilities do the GU Masters of Iron Wire Mountain possess?" Zhu Yu forced a smile, "Senior brother Li, I barely escaped with my life, it was pure luck. I don't know what methods the GU Masters of Ironwire Mountain employ. Liu Zhenxian coldly threatened, "Speak now, or I'll kill you this instant." Who would know how a mere Foundation establishment cultivator died? Zhu Yu's face twitched. He had heard that these disciples of the Extremian Cave were no easy fellows. Now, he was even more fearful upon discovering that they dared to kidnap and possibly kill a Foundation establishment cultivator from the Heavenly Seal Sect's Flying Mountain Hall. Reluctantly, Zhu Yu recounted everything that had happened. "I was here with Zhao Wan and Chu Xuan." Unexpectedly, Zhao Wan was infested by iron wire worms, and white GU worms burrowed out of his eyes. Realizing the danger, Chu Xuan and I decided to retreat immediately. But just as we turned to leave, the GU Master appeared suddenly and struck us each in the back. I was severely injured, but fortunately, my life-saving flying talisman sped up my escape. As for Chu Xuan's whereabouts, I am unaware. If anything happened to him, it's not my fault. After all, it was an intelligence failure by the sect. Who knew the GU Master of Ironwire Mountain was a mid-stage Foundation establishment? Zhu Yu shrank as he spoke, fearing a fatal slap from his captors. Li Xuanming's expression showed little change, but he sighed. Chu Xuan had been missing for too long. As the great disciple of the Extremian Cave, he felt obligated to investigate and provide an explanation to his master. After some inquiries, he and Liu Zhenxian learned that the intelligence received by the Heavenly Seal Sect had been gravely erroneous. The GU Master of Ironwire Mountain was not a novice at the Foundation stage but a mid-stage cultivator. The pervasive fog on Ironwire Mountain was far from ordinary, teeming with worm eggs. At the time, Chu Xuan had only reached the second level of Foundation establishment, no match for the GU Master of Ironwire Mountain. Over the months, there had been no word from Chu Xuan, and it was highly likely that his body had been dragged away by the GU Master and used as a nursery for GU worms. Li Xuanming had initially been reluctant to venture into Ironwire Mountain. His cultivation was only marginally equal to that of the Ironwire Mountain GU Master, who also had the advantage of the terrain. It was uncertain who would prevail. However, upon hearing that Chen Jiafen, a new disciple of the Extremian Cave, had also been captured by the GU Master of Ironwire Mountain and that Chen Jiafen possessed a top-grade magic tool, Li Xuanming felt compelled to intervene. His primary motive was to avenge his junior brother. The top-grade magic tool was only secondary. Liu Zhenxian's face was filled with rage. He kicked the Foundation establishment stage cultivator in the stomach, eliciting a pained scream and a mouthful of blood. Liu Zhenxian growled, "You cur, do you realize your false information has cost the lives of my two junior brothers? Once I kill the GU Master of Ironwire Mountain, I'll sever your head to guard their graves." The Foundation establishment cultivator, overwhelmed with fear, attempted to beg for mercy. However, Liu Zhenxian had already sewn his mouth shut, leaving him only able to make muffled sounds. Soon, the trio arrived outside Ironwire Mountain, which was still shrouded in swirling white mist. This fog, pregnant with grave dangers, promised to turn all unwitting intruders into its sustenance. "What's the plan?" Zhu Yu asked, swallowing nervously and instinctively stepping back. "Just to be clear, I'm not strong enough to deal with this fog." Li Xuanming responded calmly, "You won't need to lift a finger, just cover our rear when the time comes." He turned to Liu Zhenxian, "Junior brother, it's on you. Clear the fog, and I'll lead the way." Liu Zhenxian nodded vigorously and pulled two talismans from his storage bag. Zhu Yu's eyes widened at the sight. Array-breaking talismans. These talismans were high-grade items for those at the Foundation establishment stage, designed specifically to break through formations. Although they were consumable, their value could rival that of a high-grade magic tool. Many cultivators, especially those without substantial resources, wouldn't even consider buying such talismans. Zhu Yu had scarcely seen them before, but Liu Zhenxian produced two without hesitation. Indeed, this was the boldness of a demonic cultivator from the Extremian Cave, unhesitant in action, which surely played a part in their capacity to amass wealth. Unknowingly, Zhu Yu's perception shifted slightly. "Go." Li Zhenxian infused one of the talismans with his spiritual qi. The talisman flew into the mist and ignited instantly. Boom. The fog dissipated and a path was explosively cleared. "Follow me." Li Xuanming charged ahead, his palm emitting a yellow flame that crackled fiercely, incinerating the floating worm eggs in the air as it passed. This was none other than the corpse-refining blood fire, Without a second thought, Liu Zhenxiang flicked his wrist, and 4 long nails pinned the limbs of the Foundation Establishment Cultivator firmly into the rocks. "I'll deal with you when I return," he said with a cold huff, then followed Li Zhuanming into the mist alongside Zhu Yu. Zhu Yu, astonished by the blazing flames, inquired, "Senior brother Li, what fire is this?" Li Zhuanming responded emotionlessly, "Corpse refining blood fire." Zhu Yu was about to ask more, but upon hearing the name, he immediately clapped his mouth shut. The name alone hinted at demonic practices. Recently, as the Heavenly Seal sect warred with the native sects of Wu province, the toll on both cultivators and mortals had been heavy. Many resorted to demonic means in secret, slaughtering mortals. Zhu Yu had more than once seen cultivators of the Heavenly Seal sect, outwardly respectable, committing mass murders, blatantly ignoring the righteous sect's prohibition against slaughtering mortals. The corpse refining blood fire, no doubt, was cultivated from the burning of numerous mortals and cultivators. Moments later, the mist surged once more. Without hesitation, Liu Zhenxiang activated another array-breaking talisman. Boom! The fog was blasted away again. The trio quickened their pace, breaking through the mist in one fell swoop to reach the foot of Ironwire Mountain. Below this peak was a sight too ghastly to behold. The ground was littered with corpses, some riddled with holes from Jiu worms, others still fresh. Blood mixed with mud, staining the ground a dark red. Zhu Yu felt his stomach churn, nearly vomiting. Yet, Li Zhuanming and Liu Zhenxiang seemed unaffected, indifferent to the macabre scene. Demonic cultivators are truly steadfast in resolve, Zhu Yu muttered under his breath, suppressing the urge to retch. You brazen cultivators of the Heavenly Seal sect really dare to come here," a piercing voice suddenly echoed from all directions. "Those who trespass Ironwire Mountain shall die." Immediately following, countless thumb-sized black Jiu worms swarmed towards them. Chapter 88, the weakest of the three. Liu Zhenxiang glanced at the incoming swarm and declared in a deep voice, "Black-backed gold beetles, first-level Jiu. They fear the flames." Li Zhuanming nodded, channeling more spiritual qi into the corpse-refining blood fire. With a booming sound, the flame intensified, enveloping the cluster of black-backed gold beetles in front of them. The air filled with a crackling sound as the insects flew into the flames and were instantly consumed, their bodily energy feeding and amplifying the corpse-refining blood fire. This was the terrifying aspect of the corpse-refining blood fire. As long as there was flesh, it needed no external spiritual qi to burn endlessly. For the other approaching black-backed gold beetles, Liu Zhenxiang carefully retrieved a box and opened it. A green bug slowly awakened inside. Scenting the beetles, it charged like a starving ghost unleashed after decades, causing the beetles to scatter in terror with shrill cries. The green bug tore through them like a tiger amongst sheep, shredding the beetles into pieces. Black carapaces, transparent wing cases, and yellow bodily fluids fell to the ground. Zhu Yu watched in utter shock. Over the months of conflict, he had encountered the black-backed gold beetles numerous times. Although they were only first transformation Jiu and hardly grew more powerful, their reproduction was rapid and their carapaces tough. When deployed, their numbers were overwhelming, much like a plague of locusts. Many early-stage Foundation cultivators found them a nuisance, often forced to retreat when faced with large swarms. "What is that green bug?" Zhu Yu asked, noting it seemed to be the bane of the black-backed gold beetles. Liu Zhenxiang casually replied, "Green armor immortal, it preys on black-backed gold beetles. I've brought several types of Jiu this time to be prepared, and the green armor immortal is just one of them designed to counter these beetles." Zhu Yu's eyes widened in admiration. Impressive. He felt like a sheltered flower compared to these cultivators from the Extremian cave, realizing he had much to learn about Jiu. Before all the black-backed gold beetles were exterminated, the Jiu master could no longer sit idle. He moved like a specter among the ruins and trees, drawing closer to the trio. Suddenly, he burst forth, aiming directly at Zhu Yu. Zhu Yu frustrated, "Damn it, why target me? HMPH, you're the weakest of the three, who else but you should I kill?" The Jiu master sneered, sending a palm strike straight towards Zhu Yu's face. Zhu Yu roared in anger, immediately conjuring a small shield in front of him. He also deployed a water barrier that shimmered around him. Despite these defenses, the impact of the strike sent his blood surging violently, nearly causing him to spit blood on the spot. "Just waiting for you to make your move," Liu Zhenxiang muttered, suddenly pinching his fingers together. Chu Yu felt a sharp pain on his shoulder and turned his head to see a bug unexpectedly burrowing out from it. The bug moved incredibly fast, and in the blink of an eye, it charged towards the GU Master. Then, it exploded. The burst of plasma coalesced into terrifying blood claws that latched onto the GU Master, immobilizing him. At this moment, Chu Yu's face was a mask of horror. What the heck? Liu Zhenxian patted my shoulder, and he had already placed a GU there. The methods of these Extremian cave guys are too terrifying. Liu Zhenxian watched the GU Master with an indifferent gaze, having anticipated that he would target the weakest among them, Chu Yu, and had prepared accordingly. Speak, where is junior brother Chen Zhaofeng? Liu Zhenxian demanded. The GU Master, far from intimidated, began to laugh maniacally, his laughter growing louder and more intense. Li Xuanming furrowed his brows, suddenly realizing something. He stepped forward rapidly and injected his spiritual qi into the GU Master to probe his qi sei. Retreating quickly, he exclaimed, "It's not right, he's not at the 5th level of Foundation establishment, there are other GU Masters around." As soon as he spoke, chilling laughter echoed around them. Reacting only now. Too late. Swish, swish, swish. 3 figures descended from the sky, positioning themselves in a triangle around them. From beneath the corpse-covered, dark red ground, layers of golden light suddenly rose, instantly forming an array that enveloped Li Xuanming and the others. Within the array, 3 golden beasts rapidly materialized, each a gigantic golden wolf with bared teeth, ready to devour. Li Xuanming's expression shifted slightly. Although not deeply versed in arrays, he recognized many Foundation establishment stage formations and instantly identified this as the Wolf Soul-Killing Array, a mid-tier formation at that level. The array could conjure 3 golden wolves, and as long as the array's energy wasn't completely exhausted, these wolves would continue to revive. These native cultivators of Wu Province, when had they acquired such sophisticated formations? During the past 5 months of warfare, they had never revealed such capabilities. Li Xuanming and Liu Zhenxian were not fools. They immediately suspected that other sects might have joined the war, perhaps even supplying these advanced formations to the native cultivators. Iron Wire Mountain forever. Thousand Insect Sect forever, the Trap GU Master roared as his skin suddenly swelled and his veins writhed like worms under his skin. The trio's faces changed drastically, and they quickly employed their own methods to defend themselves. With a loud bang, the GU Master exploded like an overinflated balloon, scattering blood, bones, muscles, and organs everywhere. Under the influence of spiritual qi, these fragments turned into deadly shrapnel, making their impact in such a confined space truly horrifying. Li Xuanming and Liu Zhenxian, both robustly powerful and protected by high-grade magic tools gifted by WA and Wuyin, barely managed to withstand the GU Master's self-destruction. Chu Yu, however, was not so fortunate. Being only at the early stage of Foundation establishment and lacking substantial personal resources, his defensive magic tool was instantly shattered and his protective spells were blown apart. The debris pierced his flesh unimpeded. Chu Yu screamed in agony and fell to the ground. Immediately, the 3 golden wolves, which had been waiting, pounced. Chu Yu's leg was bitten off in an instant. Had he not activated a mid-grade Foundation establishment gold light shield talisman in a desperate attempt to save his life, he would have been devoured by the wolves then and there. Li Xuanming and Liu Zhenxian had to focus intensely on dealing with the wolves. Although they could briefly kill the wolves, the creatures would quickly revive. Now that Liu Zhenxian had run out of array-breaking talismans, they couldn't break the wolf soul-killing array directly. They had to exhaust the array's energy to break the encirclement. In a roar of fury, Liu Zhenxian invoked Black Beast Demonic Body. His body suddenly swelled, bursting his robes. In the blink of an eye, his body was covered in black fur, transforming him into a creature resembling a black demonic beast. This was the result of his auxiliary practice, the 100 Beasts body, which has 3 levels. Having mastered the 2nd level, he could summon the Black Beast Demonic Body, significantly enhancing his physical strength. At this point of life and death, there was no longer any reason to hold back their trump cards. Chapter 89, Chu Xuan's back. Upon seeing Liu Zhenxian's transformation, the lead GU Master quickly took out a small bottle and activated it with spiritual qi. A fragrant scent immediately spread and drifted into the soul wolf-killing array. Upon inhaling this strange fragrance, Liu Zhenxian's swollen muscles swiftly weakened and the black fur receded. In the blink of an eye, he reverted to his human form. Liu Zhenxian's expression turned from shock to fury as he roared, scattered blood fragrance. You know the weakness of the Black Beast demonic body. This is impossible. He had always been aware of the vulnerability of the Black Beast demonic body, but it was highly unlikely that the native sects of Wu province, far less informed than the righteous 5 sects, would know it unless someone had told them. The Li Jiu master cackled, Liu Zhenxian, Li Zhuanming, right. You have quite the junior brother. Li Zhuanming and Liu Zhenxian's expressions drastically changed. They now had a good idea why their weaknesses were known so clearly to the Jiu masters of Iron Wire Mountain. Chen Jiafeng, show yourself. Li Zhuanming shouted angrily. Well, why the necessity to see me, senior brothers, came the voice of Chen Jiafeng from behind a large tree. Then, he emerged slowly under the furious gazes of Li Zhuanming and the others. The Li Jiu master respectfully said, Senior brother Chen, they are like fish in a barrel now. As we agreed earlier, these people are for you to deal with. Li Zhenxian, furious, said, Chen Jiafeng. We came all this way to rescue you, and you turn on us. Li Zhuanming took a deep breath. Tell me, why? Chen Jiafeng smiled slightly, because I am now a disciple of the 1000 Insect Sect. Moreover, I am the chief disciple under the Golden Core Grandmaster 100 Jiu Taoist. I can take and use the sect's treasures as I wish. To me, you two are natural enemies. Li Zhuanming and Liu Zhenxian suppressed their rage. This betrayer of his own masters. My 2 senior brothers are formidable, but let's wear them down with the wolf soul-killing array and the Jiu insects. We'll make our move when we are fully assured, said Chen Jiafeng with a faint smile. Very well, senior brother Chen, the Li Jiu master nodded respectfully. The 3 Jiu masters from Iron Wire Mountain then released various Jiu into the array. No matter how strong Li Zhuanming and Liu Zhenxian were, they couldn't withstand such a tidal onslaught. Their trump cards were dwindling, their spiritual qi was drying up, and their injuries were multiplying. As for Zhu Yu, several iron wire worms had already burrowed into his body, his complexion turning deathly pale. Just as the atmosphere tensed to a breaking point, the fog suddenly carried the sizzle of burning flesh. The 3 Jiu masters felt a stir of apprehension and turned to look behind them. A figure strode through the mist. As his face became clear, everyone except the Jiu masters of Iron Wire Mountain gasped in shock. Zhu Yu exclaimed, unable to believe his eyes, Chu Xuan. You're still alive. Li Zhenxian's initial joy quickly turned to an urgent warning, junior brother, run. Chen Jiafeng is a traitor. Li Zhuanming sighed deeply, Chu Xuan, this isn't the time for you, run. Chu Xuan being alive was good news, but stepping into the fog at this moment seemed almost worse than if he had died earlier. Chen Jiafeng looked on, his smile mocking, Chu Xuan. The Li Jiu master frowned, your luck isn't bad, surviving all this time. It was he who had struck Chu Xuan from behind before. Unfortunately for him, Chu Xuan had escaped. Chu Xuan scanned the scene and smirked, it seems I've arrived just in time. He hadn't expected that his long journey would coincide with Li Zhuanming and others attempting to rescue Chen Jiafeng. Seeing the situation, it appeared Chen Jiafeng had already betrayed the Extremian cave. This was actually convenient. Kill him, just a mere second layer foundation establishment, I can't be bothered, Chen Jiafeng dismissed Chu Xuan with a wave of his hand as if swatting a fly. 2 Jiu masters immediately advanced towards Chu Xuan, one controlling iron wire worms and the other commanding black-backed gold beetles, ready to strike from both sides. However, they only saw a blow before Chu Xuan vanished from sight, leaving behind only a faint trace of Yin Evil Qi. It was the Yin Evil escape, powered by Yin Evil Qi. In the next instant, a massive demonic claw materialized out of thin air and crushed one of the Jiu masters. The iron wire worms he was about to unleash fell to the ground, writhing in agony before quickly expiring. The other Jiu master's pupils shrank in horror as he immediately retreated, summoning an iron carapace for protection. Roar! A massive fist smashed through the iron shield and penetrated his skull. Brain matter, blood, and fragments of bone and carapace sprayed in all directions. The observers focused their eyes and were stunned to see a towering, muscular corpse demon. With a single punch, it had exploded the head of a Foundation establishment cultivator, an undoubtedly powerful corpse general. Seeing the 2 Jiu masters killed instantly, the Li Jiu master's eyes blazed with fury. Unlike the self-destructing Jiu Master, these two were his junior brothers with whom he had shared daily life. The bond they had was not easily dismissed. "I will kill you." The lead Jiu Master stomped the ground ferociously, darting forward rapidly. With his hands glowing red with intense power, he thrust them toward Chu Xuan, unleashing a flurry of red palm strikes that descended like rain. However, this was not his true killing move. Hidden within the red palm prints were 3 iron wire worms aimed directly at Chu Xuan's vital points for a deadly strike. Bang, bang, bang. The red palm strikes relentlessly pounded the ground, yet not a single one grazed Chu Xuan's clothing. To Li Xuanming, Liu Zhenxian, and Zhu Yu, Chu Xuan seemed like a fierce wind, completely untouchable. Such incredible speed, is this the evil escape? Liu Zhenxian exclaimed in astonishment. Li Xuanming watched in awe. Where did Chu Xuan find so much evil chi to freely perform the evil escape each time, which consumed a considerable amount of energy with each use? Whoosh! A streak of red suddenly flashed. In just an instant, it split 2 of the sturdy iron wire worms in half and devoured them. Before the third worm could strike Chu Xuan, it was blocked by a blood-red shadow, none other than the blood-evil shadow. The streak swept out again, similarly slicing the third worm in half. In the blink of an eye, the formidable attack of the Foundation Establishment Stage 5th Layer Jiu Master was swiftly neutralized by Chu Xuan. "It's my turn now." Chu Xuan casually gestured, and the evil soul chain shot out. The chain soul, Hui Kong, burst forth with a deafening roar, attacking the Jiu Master's mind and causing a momentary shutdown. In that brief moment, the chain like a massive black python completely wrapped around the Jiu Master's neck and tightened securely. With a crisp snap, the head was severed from the body. The head flew through the air, eyes still wide in shock. The lingering thoughts of the Jiu Master struggled to comprehend. The last time they fought, Chu Xuan was barely able to defend himself, yet now he had effortlessly retaliated and killed him. In just a few months, Chu Xuan's growth had been terrifyingly rapid. He needed to be eliminated quickly. But no words would come out anymore. Darkness and cold enveloped him completely. Chapter 90, Obligation to Slay the 1,000 Insect Sect's Cultivators. The events unfolded over what felt like an eternity, yet they occurred within just a few breaths' time. By the time Li Xuanming and the others had gathered their wits, all 3 Iron Wire Mountain Jiu Masters lay dead. Only Chen Jiafeng remained. Chu Xuan casually motioned with his hand, and the evil soul chain, like a live python, shook off the blood and hovered beside him. He turned his gaze towards Chen Jiafeng, whose initially confident expression had turned deathly pale. Third. Chen Jiafeng fell to his knees, crawling towards Chu Xuan through the muck and blood, sobbing uncontrollably. "Senior brother Chu. It was them, they forced me. They put a Jiu worm in my brain," he pleaded. "We are senior and junior brothers. Master likes me very much. You must save me." His tone was earnest, tears and snot mingling with the blood streaming down his face. Even someone with a trace of compassion might hesitate at this display. However, unbeknownst to Chen Jiafeng, Liu Zhenxian, Li Xuanming, and Zhu Yu, who were behind him, had noticed something. Liu Zhenxian's pupils suddenly narrowed. He spotted a subtle movement from Chen Jiafeng, a talisman. "Be careful." A talisman. Liu Zhenxian managed to shout a warning, but it was too late. Too late. Chen Jiafeng's pleading face instantly twisted into a snarl. "Die." He raised the talisman, hurling it towards Chu Xuan. However, he was shocked to find that he couldn't control his right hand. Looking down, he saw that his arm had been cleanly severed at the shoulder, a blood-like Jiu worm voraciously devouring his flesh. Naturally, the talisman couldn't be deployed. "Ah!" Chen Jiafeng screamed in agony, clutching his empty shoulder socket and rolling on the ground. Chu Xuan looked down at this junior brother from the Extranean cave, his expression indifferent. In that instant, a thin wire had already silently burrowed into Chen Jiafeng's body from the ground. Overwhelmed by his emotions, he hadn't noticed his right arm being devoured. Even if he hadn't tried to attack, Chu Xuan would have manipulated his right hand to do so. "Senior brother Chu, I have a top-grade magic tool. I'll give it to you, spare me." Chen Jiafeng continued to wail, pleading for his life. But Chu Xuan had already slapped his palm on Chen Jiafeng's crown, executing the soul search technique. This spell was stronger than the soul-capturing gaze. It could reveal everything about a person, down to the time they wet the bed. Of course, compared to the dizziness caused by the soul capture, the only slightly more severe side effect of the soul search technique was that it left the victim into an idiot. Moments later, having obtained what he desired, Chu Xuan nonchalantly crushed Chen Jiafeng's skull as one might a watermelon. He then stored the body in his corpse tower. Whether used as nourishment, transformed into blood pearls, or fuel for the corpse refining blood fire, the corpse of a Foundation establishment stage cultivator was highly valuable. Chu Yu watched in stunned silence as Chu Xuan methodically executed these tasks. Wasn't Chen Jiafeng their fellow sect member from the Extremian cave? Soul searching, seizing treasures, and collecting the corpse, all done in one fluid sequence. To the uninitiated, it might have seemed like they were sworn enemies. Chu Xuan then moved forward to dismantle the wolf soul-killing array, effortlessly collecting its flags. Such arrays were more vulnerable from the outside, making them relatively easy to break. Once refurbished by an array master, this array could be useful for his future purposes. "Senior brothers, you've suffered," Chu Xuan said, helping Li Xuanming and Liu Zhenxian to their feet. Liu Zhenxian expressed his relief. "Junior brother, we came here to avenge you, never expecting you to still be alive, and your strength has increased so much." "Master would be very pleased to know this," he added with satisfaction. Li Xuanming, his expression complex, bowed to Chu Xuan. "Thank you, junior brother, for saving us. Including that time at Misty Manor, you saved my life twice now." He couldn't discern Chu Xuan's exact level but surmised it must be at least equal to his own, given the swift dispatch of the 3 GU masters from Ironwire Mountain. Chu Xuan merely smiled. "As fellow sect members, it's only right to help when I can." His motivation wasn't solely to save Li Xuanming but also to assist Liu Zhenxian, who, unlike a ruthless demonic cultivator, seemed more like a cultivator of the righteous way. Chu Xuan remembered how Liu Zhenxian had covertly given him a tiger soul talisman, a gesture he had not forgotten. His philosophy was simple: those who love me, I cherish; those who hate me, I destroy. Practicing the demonic way was all about indulging one's passions and following one's heart. Suddenly, a trembling voice came from the ground. "I mean, the 3 of you, there's still one person lying here. Could you lend a hand? Save me, please." Chu Yu was nearly crying. While his fellow sect members reminisced and shared deep connections, he was nearly being devoured by iron wire worms. Chu Xuan glanced at Chu Yu, his tone half-joking. "Fellow Daoist Chu, your body is barely hanging on. Wouldn't it be a selfless act to nourish my corpse puppet?" Chu Yu shuddered at the suggestion, protesting quickly. "No, no, no, I think I can still be saved." Chu Xuan chuckled and flicked his finger, sending Ganxi shooting towards Chu Yu. It burrowed into his body and efficiently devoured the remaining iron wire worms, as well as cleaned up any residual blood and flesh debris, before returning to Chu Xuan. Relieved, Chu Yu hastily swallowed some healing pills. Liu Zhenxian then spoke up, his voice grave. "We should leave this place. There could be other GU masters lurking." Chu Xuan shook his head. "No, there are no more. I searched Chen Jiafeng's soul. Only these 4 Foundation establishment GU masters were left on Ironwire Mountain. All the Qi refining GU masters under them have been turned into breeding grounds for their GU." Chu Yu whispered, "We should still leave. This place is too creepy, and both senior brother Li and Liu are injured." Chu Xuan smiled. "Now that Chen Jiafeng has become a chief disciple under the 100 Insect Taoist, his safety is crucial to the 1000 Insect Sect's GU masters. Just sending out a distress signal would immediately bring GU masters here. I found a 1000 Insect Sect signal talisman in his storage bag during the soul search." At this, Li Xuanming and Liu Zhenxian's eyes lit up. It was a perfect opportunity to lie in wait. Chu Xuan began setting up the killing array while continuing, "Senior brothers, heal yourselves now. There will be a good number of GU masters arriving soon, and I won't be able to cover everything." "Understood," Li Xuanming and Liu Zhenxian agreed. Luring and eliminating GU masters from the 1000 Insect Sect would be a significant achievement. They could exchange the merit for rare treasures within their sect, an opportunity too good to miss. Chu Yu was on the verge of tears. Despite their agreement to leave, they weren't moving. "You Extremian cave cultivators can still fight, but I'm done for. Can't you consider helping me out?" Remembering Chu Yu, Chu Xuan turned back and smiled. "If fellow Taoist Chu feels unable to assist, you could still offer yourself to nourish my corpse puppet. I would be most grateful." Chu Yu, rallying his dignity, exclaimed, "Slaying the 1,000 insect sect's demonic GU masters is our bounden duty. How can fellow Taoist Chu suggest otherwise?" Chu Xuan bowed his head, amused. To see such resolve in fellow Taoist Chu truly comforts my heart. Chapter 91, Jackpot. 2 hours later, the clearing at the base of Ainwai Mountain was littered with 6 bodies, each a GU master of the 1,000 insect sect. Drawn by the signal Chu Xuan had released, these cultivators had hurried to the location without hesitation, dropping all other activities. They arrived unprepared and walked into an ambush where Chu Xuan and his companions had been lying in wait, fully rested and ready. The outcome was predictable. Chu Xuan and his senior brothers reaped a rich harvest from this setup. Li Xuanming and Liu Zhenxiang each killed a GU master, while Chu Xuan, with his superior strength, swiftly eliminated 2 and then another 2 in a clash. As for Chu Yu, he ended up in a dire situation yet again, with 2 iron wire wounds burrowing into his organs. He would have perished if not for who provided timely assistance. 6 storage bags in total, we can divide them equally among the 3 of us, Chu Xuan suggested, handing over 2 of the 4 bags he acquired to Li Xuanmin and Liu Zhenxiang. They were taken aback by the gesture. "Junior brother, these are your spoils," Liu Zhenxiang objected, shaking his head. Chu Xuan smiled. "We jointly finished 6 GU masters. It wouldn't be right for me to keep everything. Besides, we are fellow sect members." Li Xuanming and Liu Zhenxiang reluctantly accepted the storage bags after these words. Chu Yu tentatively raised his hand. "I would like one too." Chu Xuan grinned. Has fellow Taoist Chu made up his mind? To nourish the corpse or the worms? Chu Yu quickly withdrew his hand, shaking his head like a rattle. "Forget I said anything." Chu Xuan smiled subtly. He had already acquired Chen Zhaofeng's storage bag. Aside from the top magic tool and various treasures bestowed upon Chen by the 100 GU Taoist, just the large amount of spirit stones was a tremendous gain. He had also secured the storage bags from the 3 GU masters he had killed earlier. Being too greedy would not be wise. If Chu Xuan hadn't known Li Xuanming and Liu Zhenxiang, and if they hadn't been fellow sect members under Wa and Wuyin, perhaps he could have kept everything for himself without a word. Given his strength, neither would dare to complain. However, considering their shared lineage and the fact that he had just killed Chen Zhaofeng, once highly esteemed by Wa and Wuyin, the complexities of internal sect relationships were too entangled. It was safer to share some of the spoils to keep potential complaints at bay. After all, he who receives a benefit should never forget it. After scouring Ainwai Mountain clean, the group swiftly departed, riding the Heavenly Star flying sword back to the territory of the Extranean Cave. Before leaving, they didn't forget about the foundation establishment cultivator Liu Zhenxiang had nailed down. Once Chu Xuan learned that it was this individual who had provided the erroneous information that led to their initial trouble, he didn't hesitate to execute him and toss him into the corpse-nurturing tower. In the cavernous depths of the Extranean Cave, within the center of Master Wa and Wuyin, Chu Xuan and his 2 companions entered in succession, each kneeling on one knee before their master. Wu Teng had been waiting inside the cave for some time. Master Wen's gaze swept past Li Xuanmin and Liu Zhenxiang, finally resting on Chu Xuan. He snorted coldly, the oppressive aura of a golden core cultivator bursting forth, settling like a mountain upon Chu Xuan's shoulders, rendering him breathless. Master Wen's voice was stern. "So, you return to report only after the deed is done, commendable indeed." He barked. "Tell me, Chu Xuan, did you kill Chen Zhaofeng out of jealousy?" Chu Xuan responded firmly, "No, Master, I acted to purge our sect of dishonor." Master Wan scoffed with icy mockery. "How righteously you phrase it. Look at me, Chu Xuan, did you desire the top-grade magic tool he possessed so intensely that it drove you to murder?" Chu Xuan met Master Wan's piercing eyes without hesitation. "Yes, I indeed coveted that top-grade magic tool." Li Xuanming, Liu Zhenxiang, and Wu Teng looked on in astonishment. They too had desired the legendary tool, yet none could declare it with such disarming candor. Master Wan, momentarily taken aback, soon huffed, "You are brutally honest, at least. Now, tell me, where have you been these past 5 months? How did you advance from the 2nd level of foundation establishment to the 7th so rapidly?" As he finished, Master Wan withdrew his overwhelming aura. The invisible weight crushing Chu Xuan dissipated, allowing him to rise. He had anticipated that his true cultivation level could not be concealed from Master Wan. The revelation shocked Li Xuanming, Liu Zhenxian, and Wu Ten. The 7th level of the Foundation establishment. This was a cultivator on the verge of peak mastery. No wonder Chu Xuan possessed such formidable strength, effortlessly slaying 3 GU masters and lying in wait to dispatch 4 more. They too stood up, eager to discover how Chu Xuan had achieved such extraordinary progress. Chu Xuan, having rehearsed his explanation, spoke fluently. "Master, I was never merely at the 2nd level of Foundation establishment but at the 4th. I concealed my true strength, fearing the old saying that the nail that sticks out gets hammered down and might invite envy from other disciples of the Heavenly Seal sect." Master Wan nodded slightly. His student's caution resonated with his own philosophy. During his days as a Foundation establishment cultivator, he too had understood the perils of prominence and had kept his capabilities concealed. Later, Chu Xuan recounted his ordeal at Iron Wire Mountain, where a GU master had grievously wounded him. He fled desperately and in a haze, tumbled into an underground valley. Chu Xuan's face betrayed no deception as he wove his tale. It was the typical narrative of a fortuitous fall leading to rapid advancement, replete with all the clichés of serendipitous encounters. Asked about the exact location of this underground valley, he provided evasive, inconsistent answers, now in the east, then in the west. With Wu province being a region abundant in mountains and valleys, pinpointing any specific location from Chu Xuan's vague descriptions was impossible. Master Wan Wuyin, seasoned and astute, detected the subtext in Chu Xuan's words. He snorted, "It's normal to have one's little secrets. If I hadn't had my share of fortuitous encounters, I wouldn't be where I am today." "Off you go," he continued dismissively. "You've slain so many from the 1000 Insect Sect, the 100 GU Taoist will surely be harboring thoughts of vengeance. Better stay in your caves for a few days." Chu Xuan and his companions bowed respectfully. Disciples take their leave. "Senior brothers, I shall head back first." Having bid farewell outside Master Wen's cave, Chu Xuan summoned his heavenly star flying sword and sped toward the water curtain cave. Li Xuanming watched his departing figure, feeling a mix of emotions. Wu Ten chuckled, "Senior brother Li, it looks like your position as the eldest senior brother might be at risk." Li Xuanming responded calmly, "If junior brother Chu continues to surpass me, why should I cling to the title of eldest senior brother?" The 3 then dispersed to their respective caves. At the water curtain cave, Chu Xuan wasted no time. Upon entering his abode, he unfolded the blood mirror and returned to the Blue Star. Atop the rooftop of Haodai Hotel, Chu Xuan sat cross-legged on a plush velvet cushion, looking at the 6 storage bags arrayed before him. 1 was from Chen Jiafeng, 3 from the initial batch of GU Masters, and 2 from those who had come to the rescue. He first erased the spiritual marks from the 5 bags and then inspected their contents. As expected, these GU Masters were mediocre, each had around 1,000 small spiritual stones. The rest was mostly eggs and food for the worms. As for magic tools, most were of medium quality, with only 2 superior ones, both suited for offense. Finding them of no use, Chu Xuan planned to sell them at the nameless market when convenient. After organizing his loot, Chu Xuan prepared to break the seal on Chen Jiafeng's storage bag. "Holy smokes! Jackpot," he exclaimed as he peered inside. Chapter 92, Top-Grade Magic Tool, the Blood Beehive. In Chen Jiafeng's storage bag, Chu Xuan found treasures too numerous to count. The first things to catch his eye were small spiritual stones piled into a small mountain, roughly totaling over 4,000 pieces. Even medium spiritual stones formed a little mound, numbering at least 30. These stones, if used as energy sources for arrays, could maintain normal operation for up to 10 years under typical circumstances, far surpassing the output of small spiritual stones. Next, he discovered the top-grade magic tool. It was palm-sized and resembled a beehive, entirely crimson in color with only the residual imprint of Chen Jiafeng. Chu Xuan sensed the nature of the imprint with a click of his tongue, a soul blood mark, truly a waste of my time. The soul blood mark, compared to spirit soul and blood essence marks, was more firmly ingrained and made manipulation as natural as moving one's own limb, second only to a lifebound mark. Eradicating the soul blood mark was naturally the most time-consuming task. Despite Chu Xuan's soul strength far surpassing Chen Jiafeng's, it took him 4 full hours to erase it. Following that, Chu Xuan sanctified the magic tool with his own blood essence, finally bringing it under his control. After a while, he opened his eyes, now fully aware of the magic tool's unique capabilities. The top-grade magic tool, the Blood Beehive, contains a millennium-dormant blood bee queen egg. If the Blood Beehive is cultivated as a life-bound magic tool, then the queen bee will also become a life-bound GU. The blood bee can differentiate into various tribes. The warrior bees possess a strong desire for battle and feast on flesh, while the worker bees, though not suited for combat, can extract energy from the flesh to produce highly pure blood honey. As the queen advances in rank and her bloodline strengthens, the types of blood bees it can differentiate into will increase. This treasure demands a powerful spirit. Without sufficient soul strength, one cannot fully control it. Chu Xuan marveled at the blood beehive's virtues. It was indeed a valuable item, though it required a strong soul to manage. The Thousand Insect Sect, unlike the long-established major sects of the righteous path, lacked secret techniques for soul cultivation. Only a few within the sect could wield the blood beehive. No wonder the 100 GU Taoist made Chen Jiafeng his chief disciple upon learning he could control the blood beehive. And no wonder Wa and Wuyin, despite treating Chen Jiafeng well, was betrayed. Chu Xuan's smile deepened. Who wouldn't covet the blood beehive lying before him? As for it being a life-bound magic tool, many cultivators mistakenly believe one can only refine one in a lifetime. If one's soul is robust enough and one has ample blood essence to spare without hampering cultivation, then as many life-bound magic tools as desired can be crafted. Chu Xuan was exactly the type of cultivator who feared neither soul nor blood essence depletion. For him, cultivation resources were plentiful, and any deficits in soul strength or blood essence could be quickly replenished through various demonic techniques and forbidden arts. With the blood beehive set aside, Chu Xuan continued to explore the contents of the storage bags. The Thousand Insects Tome records the accumulated knowledge of the Thousand Insect Sect on the nurturing and cultivation of thousands of different insects throughout generations of cultivators. The Blood Bee scripture was bestowed upon Chen Jiafeng by the 100 GU Taoist. Authored by the previous master of the blood beehive, it contains secret methods specifically for breeding blood bees. The 6 Extreme GU technique, a superior foundation establishment stage technique, is a closely guarded secret of the Thousand Insect Sect. It involves nurturing 6 types of insects within the cultivator's skull, torso, and limbs to enhance physical defenses. Impressive, impressive. Damn, I've never even heard of these 6 insects. The Greenwood True Formula, also a superior foundation establishment stage technique, is one of the main methods practiced by the Imperial Spirit Mountain. Ah, so it was the Chen family who stole this technique from Imperial Spirit Mountain. No wonder they were annihilated by them. This technique is quite balanced and fair. Unfortunately, my main cultivation technique is already the Blood Evil Demon refining scripture, which makes it difficult to switch. Chu Xuan marveled as he flipped through these texts. After safely storing the books, he found some metal ores in the corner of his storage bag, likely gathered by Chen Jiafeng for crafting tools. His eyes lit up upon discovering a dark, sinister iron ore almost as tall as a person. Such a large piece of ghost evil steel. It will be perfect for incorporating into my evil soul chain. When originally forged, the evil soul chain was already equivalent to a mid-grade magic tool. Incorporating this ghost evil steel would elevate it directly to a high-grade magic tool. No wonder, being a descendant of a cultivator family does have its perks. Chu Xuan looked at his haul with a satisfied smile. Indeed, plundering always brings wealth the fastest. Having sorted the treasures, Chu Xuan next turned his attention to the blood beehive, beginning the process of refining it into his second life-bound magic tool. This required merging a small portion of his soul and blood essence into the magic tool. Within a day, he successfully integrated his life mark into the blood beehive, transforming it into his own. He then felt the queen egg at the heart of the blood beehive, rapidly awakening under the nourishment of surging spiritual qi. In just a few moments, a pale, tender young queen bee emerged from the egg. For now, Chu Xuan needed to nourish the young queen with blood pearls. Once matured and after producing its first batch of worker bees, it would command them to gather flesh and produce blood honey to sustain its existence. As the number of worker bees and the stored blood honey increased, Chu Xuan could leverage this to accelerate his cultivation. After all, the energy contained within the same volume of blood honey far surpassed that in blood pearls and large blood pearls. Moreover, at this critical juncture, many were willing to pay dearly for such treasures that could directly enhance one's strength. Seizing this opportunity, Chu Xuan fired up his furnace and began integrating the ghost evil steel into his evil soul chain. Reforging a magic tool required immense effort, but Chu Xuan was unlike other cultivators, he had ample time. Moreover, with the immense merit he had accumulated, his lifespan had already been significantly extended by the fates. One day later, the disappearance of 7 Foundation establishment cultivators from the 1000 sect spread like a storm across the battlefield. After all, these were 7 cultivators of considerable standing. Their vanishing significantly weakened the defensive capabilities of the 1000 sect across various regions. The cultivators of the Heavenly Seal sect could easily surmise that they must have perished. The demise of 7 Foundation establishment cultivators within a single day was an exceedingly rare occurrence. Even late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators couldn't typically dispatch so many at once. It must have been the work of 2 or 3 late-stage cultivators acting together. Speculation was rife about who could have slain these 7 cultivators, and in the meantime, regardless of who had struck the blow, the morale among the Heavenly Seal sect cultivators surged tremendously. Within the span of 7 days, they overran 2 subordinate factions of the 1000 sect, the Bloodbee Cave and the Centipede Manor, and pushed the front line over 1,000 miles inward, nearly reaching the gates of the 1000 sect itself. This advance unsettled not only the native cultivators of the 1000 sect, but also those who had been covertly fanning the flames of this war, inciting further conflict. Now, they too could no longer sit idly by.